Good morning, AP Psych students. I'm here today to talk at least a little bit about free response questions. If you haven't watched the review video yet, again, that's not required, but it is recommended. Okay, as you move forward, especially those of you who are taking the AP test, and we'll probably have a little more information. I'll send out on Teams later today that if you want to cancel the AP test at this point, you can still do that, and I think you can get a full refund. But like I said, I'll share that link from Mr. Orlowski on Teams later today. So a lot of you guys, I think about a third of you have done the FRQ so far. So far, most of them are pretty good. But I do have some advice. Like I said, this comes straight from the video from yesterday, AP Psych 1.1 with the Stevenson teacher, Miss Fenton. This little acronym that can maybe help direct your thoughts as you move ahead. Because, really, you have two FRQs and you only have 45 minutes to do them. So even though the AP test is going to be open note and it's going to be open book, open resources, if you spend a ton of time looking up the information and thinking about it, you kind of got to just go. So it's very similar to what we have in class, where most of you guys can finish two FRQs in 45 minutes. But some advice to do is move forward. They have a little acronym yesterday on the video called SODAs as a way of remembering how to write an FRQ. Obviously, not all of this is going to apply when it comes to Microsoft Forms because of spacing issues and things like that. But the first S has to do with space. Okay, so first S is space. And what that means when we're talking about spacing is, you think about the FRQ from yesterday. I had A, B, C, D, and E. You want to make sure you space those out. Obviously, you couldn't really do that yesterday because it's in Microsoft Forms. Most of you guys do fine with that when it comes to the FRQs we've done in class. Just a word of advice to space things out. And don't forget to underline things as well. But make it as easy to read as possible. Something to think about when you're doing this on May 19th. The second one, O, space. Second one is order. And what that means is keep things in order. Now, yesterday's question, it wouldn't have made a lot of sense to do things out of order. Well, there have definitely been times in the past on FRQs, and I haven't knocked you for this, but you've done things. You know that fifth word on the list, and you don't know the fourth word, so you do the fifth word. Okay, what they'd recommend is just kind of skipping that, leaving space for it. I'm going with the first term there. Okay, and then coming back and writing something about it. Okay, so making sure everything's in the right order. Define is our D, and that's something I noticed a little bit yesterday. We're still struggling with a little bit. For instance, the first part of the question having to do with what's the control condition, which really means what's the control group. Okay, even though yesterday's experiment didn't really have a control group, there was a condition, okay, I'm not going to tell you what it was, that was supposed to be unaffected by the independent variable. But defining independent variable, or independent variable is what the researcher changes or manipulates in the experiment, the dependent variables, what we're using to measure the change in the experiment. A lot of you guys just went right to, this is what the independent variable in this experiment is, this is what the dependent variable in the experiment is. And oftentimes it says definitions will not score when you're looking at the instructions of free response questions. That just means you need to define it, and then, and this is what I've gotten on you guys about all year, define and apply. So, give me the basic definition of the term and then use an example of it. Okay, apply show that you know and understand what this definition means. So, independent variable is manipulated by the researcher in an experiment. This was the independent variable in the experiment. Okay, this is the definition of cognitive dissonance. This is how it relates to the experiment on whether people are returning wallets or not. So that's the application. And that last S in there, and I've seen Miss Fenton obviously did it. Make sure I'm spelling it right. Synonyms. Okay, it is another way of showing that you understand what exactly you're talking about is to use synonyms. Okay, where you're talking about applications. And, a lot of you guys, obviously, you're getting the points, but it doesn't hurt to write as much as possible. Now, obviously, you're not writing an essay, but making sure that your point gets across. I think that's kind of what the last S is about. Writing synonyms. Okay, it kind of goes with that application or apply the A above. Just because you're looking at different ways of showing, hey, I totally know this term. I totally got this term. See how much I can write about this term. Now, obviously, time is limited when we're talking about the FRQ next month, because I think it's 25 minutes for one FRQ, then you upload it, and then you have 15 minutes for the second FRQ. So chances are we're looking at kind of a question like you had yesterday, which had 7 parts, 6 or 7 parts per FRQ. Making sure watching those review videos, writing notes down, reviewing all the stuff, and hopefully you'll be good to go. But just making sure that we space, order, define, apply, and use synonyms, because you don't want circular definitions. Let's say like cognitive dissonance is an example of being cognitively dissonant or things like that. Show that you understand it by explaining it in your own words. Kind of like how we, with the quarter project, come up with your own examples for explaining why the situation occurs. Okay, so until next time, this FRQ, you have all week to do it. I'll post another one on Thursday, and then you get Friday off. You have the weekend to do the next one. Have a great day. Good luck.